The pilot had only closed his eyes for a brief moment during the flight, but when he woke up, he was horrified to discover that the plane had gone off course and was now over the Pacific Ocean. Even worse, they were almost out of fuel. Terrified, he quickly pulled out the navigation equipment to calculate their coordinates, only to realize the plane had already drifted far off course and was now in the middle of the Pacific. Seeing this, the pilot did not dare tell the two crewmen behind him the terrible news. To prevent a disaster, he immediately contacted the control tower and requested rescue, but the moment the radio connected, he suddenly heard Japanese voices. That scared him so much that he quickly shut off the radio and switched to Morse code instead. Right now, the most urgent thing was to reduce the plane's weight as much as possible before the fuel ran out and lower fuel consumption. So the pilot made a decisive call and dumped every bomb on the bomber straight into the Pacific. Then he quickly turned the plane around and tried to search for friendly signals. But what crushed him was that the control tower still gave no response. As the fuel gauge was about to hit empty, the pilot had no choice but to tell his crewmates the truth and order them to gather their gear and prepare for an emergency landing in the Pacific. After receiving the order, the two crewmen moved quickly. Although the plane managed to land on the surface of the ocean, the violent impact damaged the cabin, and seawater began pouring inside non-stop. Before long, the entire plane would sink to the bottom of the sea. Seeing this, the pilot quickly escaped from the cockpit, grabbed the life raft, started preparing to inflate it, and called for his crewmates to come help. But when he turned around, he realized that his crewmates had already gone under with the plane. Fortunately, at the critical moment, both crewmen managed to unbuckle their seatbelts and escape from the cabin safely, but all of their supplies had gone down with the plane. When the two men swam back to the surface, they discovered that the pilot had opened the life raft upside down. With no other choice, the three men used every bit of strength they had and finally flipped the raft over. Completely exhausted, they hurriedly climbed aboard, but the space on the raft was so small that they could only squeeze tightly together. What they didn't know was that what was waiting for them next would be an unforgettable experience of survival. The ocean was especially cold at night, soaked from head to toe. The three men immediately began shivering and could only curl up together, using each other's body heat to fight off the freezing cold. Worn out, the three men slept like that until dawn the next day. When they woke up, the two crewmen were not too worried about their situation and even started playing a little game as if nothing had happened. That was because they all believed headquarters would send someone to rescue them soon, but the pilot remained tense and serious the entire time. That was because, out here on the endless Pacific, they were surrounded by all kinds of unknown dangers. On top of that, there was not a single bit of food or fresh water on their small raft. At first, the two crewmen did not take it seriously and kept waiting hopefully for rescue to arrive, but they waited until noon and still did not see even the slightest sign of help. Only then did the two men finally realize that their chances of being rescued had become extremely slim, but now they had no food and no fresh water. So how were they supposed to survive on the Pacific? Before they knew it, they had already been drifting at sea for 3 days. During that time, the three men had not had a single drop of water. Unable to bear the thirst any longer, the pilot picked up a leather shoe, collected some urine in it, and forced it down despite his disgust. Only then did his dry throat feel slightly better. When the two crewmen saw this, they immediately felt sick to their stomachs. They said they would rather die than use a method like that. But as time passed, their mental state grew worse and worse. One of the young men even began hallucinating and mistook seawater for bottled water, scooping up a handful and preparing to drink it. Fortunately, at the critical moment, the pilot rushed forward and stopped him in time.
Sucks the water right out of your brains, they said.
Just like that, the men drifted on the ocean for several more days. Then suddenly, the pilot was shocked to discover that he still had a pencil in his pocket. His crewmate was confused when he saw it. What was there to be so surprised about? But the pilot said this pencil might be able to help them get out alive. After saying that, he drew several straight lines on his life jacket. Then he took out his compass and calculated the approximate coordinates of the crash site. Based on the direction of the ocean currents, he then estimated their current position. After that, the pilot concluded that as long as they kept drifting southwest, they had a good chance of reaching an island held by friendly forces. But the question was, how were they supposed to control the direction of the life raft? At that moment, the pilot looked at the life jacket beside him and suddenly came up with an idea.